What I'd like to share with you today is some of the ways in which God has worked in and through 40 Days for Life over the last 5 years. I've been involved for 3 years full-time, 2 years as a volunteer, and I've seen so many hearts and minds change. We've seen many lives saved from abortion as well. And I'd just like to share with you some of the pictures from all around the world from 40 Days for Life as well. After this, we will have a forum with all the speakers. I know that you're desperate to ask many questions to our speakers, and it'll be an open forum for anybody to ask any question to any speaker for a good period of time. Well, this is our prayer vigil in Anchorage in Alaska. It's certainly very cold in Alaska. We've just been up in Glasgow in Scotland, really trying to encourage them in the face of cold weather, going to pray in public in cold weather. Certainly the prayer vigil, this is one of the pictures which has had some of the best feedback from many of our volunteers. It really demonstrates the courage of a volunteer to go out to pray in totally adverse weather circumstances. It shows witness in the face of adversity as well. Well, we started our first ever campaign 5 years ago in the United Kingdom, and this was the event. We had it in Heathrow College 5 years ago, September 2010. I thought that absolutely nobody would have the courage to come and pray in public, and I thought it would be a complete failure. But sure enough, we had a similar number of people there as we have today, and many people realised that tangibly there was something that they could do. To help end abortion where they live. And we really shared that vision of how we could access the power of God through turning in prayer and fasting to end abortion. Well, from that event, it was very inspiring. The very next day, this is the first day of our prayer vigil in Mary Stopes in Whitfield Street, just a 10-minute walk from here. This is the first day of praying in public. Many people going way outside their comfort zone to come and pray in public for the very first time. And sure enough, we really saw amazing results. After the second day, we saw somebody who was scheduled for an abortion choose life for their unborn child. Their boyfriend was at the clinic at the same time with 2 born children who weren't allowed inside Mary Stopes. They talked to the volunteers. And after that day, we knew that all the hard work, all the effort that we put in was worth it, because one person changed their minds. And not only that baby's life was spared that day, that woman's life was impacted. I'm sure it was a courageous and bold decision, and we've heard from a personal testimony today as well. But the witness of pro-life has really made that difference that day. Going on further, 6 other women chose life for their babies as well. Well, we moved to Bedford Square, just about four minutes down the road. I'm sure many of you remember the vigil that we had there for 3 years, from 2011 to 2013. And we saw everything over several thousand hours of a prayer vigil outside. We're going to have a party tonight to thank so many people for being involved in that vigil over the last 5 years. And firstly, we got ignored, and then we got more and more opposition. We saw about 300 people turn up to protest, the Christians praying outside the prayer vigil there. This was in March 2012. We had several hundred people come to protest these pesky Christians who were outside the abortion centre. But for many people, this gave them great courage to witness publicly for their Christian faith in the face of adversity, gave a lot of people courage and confidence. And what I really want to challenge you today is to be bold. You've heard lots of inspiring speakers today, but the real relevance of 40 Days is, what can I do personally to help end abortion where I live? That's the whole point of our campaign, is to turn to God. It's to respond personally, pastorally, and spiritually to the crisis of abortion. And I really want you to go forth, to be bold, to imagine great things that can happen through your personal witness. And not only that, inspiring other people as well. Maybe you can inspire somebody in another country who can take this mission further on. We're a developed country in Britain, and we're a rich country. Certainly many other countries around the world, we pay for and export abortion all around the world. But we can also have a powerful influence in many other countries, as I'll show you in just a moment. Our witness in our country here can be expanded tenfold in other countries abroad. Maybe you can inspire people in other countries as well. Well, after all the fracas and the controversy of Christians praying for so many hours outside the public abortion centre, we saw the result we would never think was ever possible. And after 3,000 hours of prayer, we finally saw the Bedford Square British Pregnancy Advisory Service close its doors for good for no rational reason whatsoever. You can see the Bedford Estates, the owner of the building, with the To Let sign outside the BPAS symbol in this picture. We never in our wildest dreams or imagination imagined that in England, a secular country, it would be possible to see abortion centre closed. Some of the employees said to us, your prayers really work because the girls aren't keeping their appointments at all. And many times as Christians we can feel helpless and worthless in this cause, that there's nothing that we can do against the huge impact of abortion in this country. But just a few simple acts of witness, growing in magnitude and in several hundred people being involved in world, can see exponential differences and growth and can have an impact way more than you could possibly imagine. The day after the abortion centre closed, we had a prayer vigil inside the building after it closed, the 26th of April 2014. Some of the people who are here would remember we had a mass said inside the building. We got permission from the Duke of Bedford, who is the owner of the building. We heard many people say, my body, my choice, screaming outside the building. But the words in the prayer service of the Eucharist that day were very different. As we say here in the Eucharist, this is my body given for you. Abortion advocates will cling to their own body that others may die, whereas Jesus gives of his own body that others may live. And we really saw a profound spiritual change from a culture of death to a culture of life. After that, it was a poignant and powerful moment for anybody who was there as well. Well, the story doesn't end there, because many other people have been inspired, not only across the UK, but in many other locations as well. The most powerful and amazing experience I've had as a pro-lifer is being able to meet one of the babies who's been spared from abortion, who was scheduled for an abortion, but is alive today, thanks to not only the courage and witness of the mother who gave birth, through the grace of God, through the courage and witness of pro-lifers to witness, but also through our prayers as well. And for me, this is a picture of Therese and Whitney. To be able to meet one of the babies, I'd like you to imagine now that through your pro-life work, you might be able to one day, maybe 9 to 12 months from now, meet one of the babies who was scheduled to be aborted, but is alive today thanks to your work. And I've helped try and bring the abstract to the personal in this conference today. To meet one of those babies is an amazing and powerful experience. If you work in a crisis pregnancy centre, you probably see this on a regular basis and maybe isn't such a big deal. But for many people who see this issue as more abstract, to have that personal encounter with a baby is absolutely incredible. And we've got many people here who've had that experience themselves. Isabel from the March for Life and Birmingham 40 Days. She's experienced that in Birmingham with her 40 Days for Life campaign. We've had a mother and baby come and speak at the closing event of their efforts there in Birmingham. Not only in Birmingham, but also in Brighton. And also in Brighton, down in south coast of England. Another baby spared from abortion at the very last moment. And the whole point of having that prayer vigil is to show that there's a love in the community that can help you choose life for your unborn child as well. Well, this was December 2013. We had a banquet in London. Many of you were there. This was a Romanian couple. They were going to marriage stopes in Ealing in West London. There's 10,000 abortions there every single year. And there are so many opportunities to save lives in London. There are 6 or 7 major abortion centres which are open on a very regular basis, performing at least 20 to 50 abortions. There's many more further smaller abortion centres that are open part-time as they move more into doctors' offices. But every single day that these opportunities are there, and maybe your witness, maybe your work, maybe your volunteering, maybe you will be able to save a life in the same way that we've witnessed over the last 5 years as well. But this baby literally is here today because of the action and witness of pro-lifers as well. Well, over the last 3 years, I've travelled all around the world to meet many different pro-lifers and to encourage them in their pro-life work. This is Kelechi in Abuja in Nigeria. the administrative capital of Nigeria, where abortion is illegal. And she's helped over 20 women in crisis pregnancies through her pro-life initiative, Save the Unborn Babies. And we have affiliated with her. This is one of the mothers that she's been able to help through her pro-life work. She goes and talks in many secondary schools, and it's amazing how many people are in a crisis pregnancy in that country, despite the fact that abortion is illegal, yet happening undercover in many, many places. How amazing to meet a baby in another country that has been saved through the same initiative as well. This is one of the witnesses they've had in the secondary schools in Nigeria too. And to know that we can have a huge impact in many other countries as well, that many people listen very closely to this country, and being able to visit other countries with the same mission is a really inspiring thing to do too. Well, I managed to meet Pope Francis when I got married, and to get a papal blessing to our wedding in 2013. It's the year of mercy this year, and it's something that Pope Francis has really been promoting a lot. The year of mercy. Really to take away from this conference, how does mercy correspond with my pro-life work? How do I reconcile the mercy and love of God with how I dialogue with other people? How do I correspond with being merciful to my pro-life witness? How can I demonstrate through my own hands and feet the mercy of God through my actions, through my words, and through my witness as well? If we really could demonstrate that mercy in many different ways, I'm sure we'd be locking the doors of many of our churches, because people would permanently want to live inside them. They'll be so attracted to that understanding of mercy. If they really knew and understood about the mercy of God. People involved in post-abortion work have said that the hope, healing, and reconciliation that they've witnessed in that ministry has been more powerful than anything else. And if we can attract people, if we can reconcile people to forgiveness and healing after an abortion experience, then I think that's an amazing and powerful work to be able to do as well. Well, we've heard about Croatia. In just 2 years, they have spread an amazing campaign all across the country. We heard that literally their nation is being changed. A classroom of children in a year and a half have been spared from abortion. Petra's testimony was outstanding as well. And we now have over 20 cities involved in pro-life work, literally from nowhere. And the witness and faith of the Croatian people is so deep that it is so powerful and so wonderful to see that as well. In Brazil, we heard from Matt earlier in his talk, where abortion is illegal. This is one of the people he mentioned in his talk, Doris Hippolito. She's managed to help 3,000 women from 3,000 lives have been spared from abortions from her 25 years as a pro-lifer. Last year, she saw 208 women helped. And in the slums in Rio, there's no social services. Abortion is largely illegal, but many people find themselves in crisis pregnancies. Some of them are involved in drugs as well. She reaches out to the poorest of the poor, literally helping people. She has got a huge pink house in the slums of Rio. Her work is absolutely tremendous. Her witness is amazing. In many ways, it's more easy in her country to reach out to people because there are so many and there's so many opportunities. In this country, hearts sometimes can be colder, and it's harder to reach people in need. But her witness has been absolutely amazing and inspirational. There's an article on Alethea, the Angel of Rio, Doris Hippolito, if you wanted to read more about her story as well. I went to Houston, where the largest abortion provider is in the Western Hemisphere. Planned Parenthood has the largest abortion centre in the Western Hemisphere. If you saw some of the videos from the Centre of Medical Progress, which did investigative work into Planned Parenthood, they actually filmed one of the videos inside this very centre. But where sin abounds, grace abounds all the more. And there are many great Christians outside this abortion centre. They have a bus literally outside there, outside the Planned Parenthood. They see 5 women who come for an ultrasound every single day onto the bus, and they receive help from the crisis pregnancy centre there. Amazing witness that is happening there. And sometimes we can hold up our hands in exasperation, think, what witness can we have in the face of such adversity and evil? That sometimes there are the biggest opportunities where there is the biggest crisis as well. And certainly Houston, the witness there has been amazing. In Texas, the number of abortion centers that have closed over the last few years, that they've really been falling like flies. They used to have 50 abortion centres roughly several years ago. They're right down to just over 10 abortion centres there now. So they've seen profound change in Texas. It's been one of the states that has seen the greatest amount of hope in the United States as well. Well, this is the prayer vigil that we have in Wellington in New Zealand, outside one of the hospitals. They've just made a video of one of the women that they've helped during their 40 Days for Life campaign. We've now got 3 vigils. So we've got Daniel Coate Davis, who organised the vigil in Christchurch, New Zealand here as well. He was really inspired in the UK. He spent some time in New Zealand and prayed to God and started a local vigil, which is now continued under new leadership in Christchurch, New Zealand. But this is the vigil outside the hospital in Wellington. It's great to have you here with us, Dan, today. And I'm so inspired by what you've done in New Zealand. To know literally there are people on the other side of the world who are united in the same cause for life. Over 100,000 people praying for the same cause. Who knows how God can use those efforts for good for the future as well. Outside Mexico. Now, we've had several campaigns in Mexico as well. This is the Mary Stopes that was temporarily closed last year. Unfortunately, it's been reopened since then. But many Christians came together in Mexico City. And it's a place where, it's a strongly Christian country already. A very, very simple campaign. They had a huge impact on the local abortion centre there. It temporarily went out of business with the investigation from the government there. But amazing to see in many, many Christian countries now the opportunities that we're opening up in starting new vigils. Who knows what God can do through the witness of Christians as well. In Romania, they have a March for Life all over the country. And I went there last year. In Cluj-Napoca, they had a very inspiring Dan and Julia, who are based in Cluj-Napoca. They have led a really, really inspiring effort, and they've managed to unite the Orthodox and also the Catholics working together, uniting for a pro-life campaign. Many of the Romanian cities organised their own March for Life. We heard from Isabel today, the inspiring March for Life, which is growing and growing in this country. And if every single person here brought their own coachload of people to that march for this year, I'm sure we had over 1,000 people there last year. Maybe we can get up to several thousand more. Maybe it's something that can grow 10 times over the next few years as we galvanise more and more Christians together in this country as well. Well, this is the abortion centre in Ealing in West London. It used to be a former Christian house of healing. You can see a plaque to St. Michael the Archangel, which is still on the building. There are 10,000 abortions there every single year. But we had the most successful 40 Days for Life campaign ever outside the Mary Stopes in Ealing, West London. We saw 24 women who were scheduled for an abortion go to the Crisis Pregnancy Centre, go to the Good Counsel, almost somebody every single day. Those are the kind of opportunities that are there in London. And be bold. We would love to have a prayer vigil outside every single one of the major abortion centres in London. That would be an absolute dream. We still, outside Streatham in South London, there are still 5,000 abortions there. Some of the Christians said they go there once a month, but every time they turn up there, some of the workers there are absolutely terrified, and they're just turning up there once a month. What would happen if they turned up every single day? What kind of impact would that have? What kind of impact would we have in Stratford? Over 5,000 abortions in Stratford every year, and we've still got the Whitfield Street abortion centre just up the road here. Ealing is certainly many abortions happening there. In Brixton, there's 5,000 to 10,000 abortions in Brixton as well. There are so many opportunities in London, this city of 10 million people, to witness for life. And just encourage you to be bold. This is something we've seen great blessings from. Maybe it's something that God is calling you to do for the future. This ministry is so exciting because literally you can save lives every single day. And turn to God and pray to ask Him, how can I use my skills, talents, and abilities to help build a culture of life? Maybe you're an administrator. Maybe you're a teacher. Maybe you're a leader. Maybe you have great skills and abilities which you can give for the greater glory of God to help build a growing consciousness and awareness of the humanity of the unborn child. Well, since doing international outreach for 40 Days for Life, the most amazing thing that has happened, and Matt touched on this in his talk, has been the results that we've seen in Colombia. Now, we've gone from 1 campaign to 10 campaigns in Colombia after the first 40 days in Bogota there. There's the highest concentration of abortion clinics in the world in the capital there. They had 1 campaign, 2,000 people were involved. They saw 12 women choose life for their babies during that time. And now 10 other cities all around the country, after less than 6 months, are inspired by their witness, and they will be organising their own vigils. All of them will be very, very strong. And I've got no idea what God has in store for their country, but certainly they do have very strong pro-life laws, but in practice that isn't really happening. And the 40 Days for Life is being able to witness in that country for much greater good as well. Here are some pictures of Colombia. This is one of the abortion clinics in Colombia as well. You can see the ultrasound advert that many people try to lure women into these centres to go for an ultrasound and then encourage them to have an abortion after that as well. Some of the media work as well. This is the last prayer vigil we have in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil as well. I started in Alaska, we're now moving to somewhere a lot warmer as well. Well, I know that we've got many 40 Days for Life leaders in the audience here. I just want to encourage you for this Lenten campaign to give it your absolute best. Trust in God, know that you're uniting yourself with people from all around the world. And I look forward to what God has in store through your witness, through your public witness for 12 hours a day outside an abortion centre, what God can achieve in and through that.